Let's just get this out of the way. I did not plan to do this. Wasn't planning on being like, haha, it's me, Neon Mushroom, I got his jacket. I don't think that far ahead. If I thought that far ahead, I wouldn't have had no sleep nights. Hi, welcome to MTG The Stack. My name is not Neon Mushroom, even though I have his jacket because he left it at the last house and I just held on to it for 3 months for a bit. Like today, we got some more EDH/Commander gameplay nonsense for you today. You can actually see it brewing right now because I've been troubleshooting the scenes I've been editing together for the last 3 hours. Apparently, I use image files that are too big. You already saw the thumbnail, you know what's happening today. Mind that today was actually the first day that Max came onto the channel. I held on to this game because the ending is a bit rough because it's my first time with this style of deck. At least it was then. And I wanted to make sure it was my hand that cleaned it all up just to make things a little better since it's kind of, it was my fault at the time. Hey man, upkeep stuff.
As always, if you like the show or anything else we're doing over here on YouTube, liking, sharing, and subscribing helps us out immensely. If you like our content and don't mind taking that extra step, you can always support us over on Patreon at MTG The Stack.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Comment down below any of your thoughts or feelings, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Alright, for today's gameplay, Adrian is rocking Yorion's Sky Nomad, the same one he built live on this channel with you guys. It's a flicker value deck, trying to cast Yorion in order to bounce things like Soul Rain, Reality Acid, or other powerful ETB effects in order to grind out the game. Adrian's opening hand includes a Coveted Jewel, Wrath of God, Eldrazi's Displacer, Trinket Mage, Swan Song, Ancient Den, and a Marsh Flats. Next up, we have Calvin rocking Teysa Karlov, basically a death abuse deck, trying to abuse dying triggers like Zulaport Cutthroat or Afterlife in order to also grind out value. Calvin's opening hand includes a Dread Return, Altar of Dementia, Talisman of Hierarchy, Reassembling Skeleton, Doom Dissenter, a basic Swamp, and a basic Plains. Next up, we have Max, technically on his first recorded game of the channel, rocking his Kwain Internet Meddler deck. As I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but this is a tempo control style deck, trying to essentially bury the opposition alive in their own card value. Max's opening hand includes an Island, Misty Rainforest, Ponder, Winds of Abandon, Windfall, Flusterstorm, and an Enlightened Tutor. And finally, we have Ajdin coming at us with a Xantcha Sleeper Agent deck. Xantcha is a Curse Matters deck, basically, trying to bog down all opposition with curse-like effects, including Xantcha herself, in order to grind out value. Ajdin's opening hand includes a Mountain, a Swamp, a Caverner Souls, a Mind Stone, an Arcane Signet, Shiny Impetus, but then he'll mulligan to the bottom a Rite of the Raging Storm.
And then we're recording now, so we got Max new to the channel, and we play a card game. Calvin, why don't you hand these out? Thank you. And then on 3 we flip. 1, 2, 3. I'm first.
Adrian won card game, so he'll go on the play, and he's going to start the game by dropping a Marsh Flats before passing the turn. Calvin's going to draw his first card, and then he's going to drop a Plains before casting Garrison Cat, ending his turn.
Alright, do we do that play? Because you did it like this.
Listen, friend.
No, you listen.
I'm going to play a Garrison Cat.
Thank you.
No. Pass.
You're an absolute
I'm gonna draw.
And then Max will draw his card, drop an Island, and then he's going to cast Ponder, opting to shuffle his library before drawing his card, ending his turn. And then Ajdin's going to draw his card, drop a Swamp, and then move to his end step, where Adrian's going to crack his Marsh Flats and find a Prairie Stream tapped, ending his turn. Round 2, Adrian's going to untap, draw, drop a basic Plains, and then he'll pass the turn. Calvin will untap, draw, drop a basic swamp, and then he'll attack Max with his Garrison Cat, dealing a damage before casting his Doom Dissenter, ending his turn. Max will then untap, draw, drop and crack his Misty Rainforest in order to find a Tundra, and then he'll cast his commander, Kwain, ending his turn. Then Ajdin's gonna untap, draw, drop a basic mountain, and then he'll cast Arcane Signet, ending his turn. Round 3, Adrian's gonna draw, drop an Ancient Den, and then he's gonna tap out to cast Trinket Mage, which will enter the battlefield and find him a Soul Ring. He'll then pass the turn. Calvin will untap, draw, drop a basic swamp, and then he's gonna cast Talisman of Hierarchy, following it up with an Altar of Dementia. He'll then move into combat, attacking Ajdin with his Garrison Cat, dealing the damage and ending his turn. Max will untap, draw, drop a Marsh Flats, which will proceed to crack for a basic Plains, and then he'll offer everyone a draw of his commander, Kwain, which we'll all take. He'll then tap out to cast Jace Beleren, which he'll tick up, giving everyone another draw. He'll then pass the turn. Ajdin will untap, draw, drop a basic swamp, and then he's going to tap out to cast Thran Dynamo, following it up with a Mind Stone. He'll then pass the turn. Round 4, Adrian's going to untap, draw, drop a Fabled Passage, which he'll crack to find a basic island, and then he'll move into the red zone, attacking Ajdin with his Trinket Mage. Second main phase, he'll cast Soul Ring, followed by Eldrazi Displacer. He'll then pass the turn. Calvin's going to untap, draw, drop a basic swamp, and then he's going to cast his commander, Teysa Karlov, followed up with a Gravecrawler. He'll then move into combat, attacking Ajdin again with the Garrison Cat and Doom Dissenter, passing the turn. Max is going to untap, draw, and then he'll make everyone draw with his Jace Beleren, and then offer everyone a draw with his Kwain, which, again, we'll all take. He'll then drop a Flooded Strand, cracking it to find a basic island, and then he's going to cast Winds of Abandon, targeting the Eldrazi Displacer. Adrian's then going to find a basic island off the Winds, and then Max is going to move to discard, ending his turn. Ajdin's going to untap, draw, drop Inventor's Fair, and then he'll tap 2 to cast Night's Whisper, followed by casting Xantcha, Sleeper Agent, putting it under Max's control. He'll then enchant the Xantcha with a Shiny Impetus, passing the turn. Round 5, Adrian's going to untap, draw, drop a basic Plains, and then he'll move into the red zone on Ajdin again, dealing 2 damage with his Trinket Mage. He'll then cast his commander, Yorion Sky Nomad, but before it resolves, Ajdin's going to respond by paying 4 life to cast Snuff Out, targeting the Trinket Mage. After some deliberation, Adrian will let that resolve, the Trinket Mage will die, and then Yorion will resolve. It will enter the battlefield and exile Adrian's Soul Ring until end of turn. But before that happens, Adrian's going to cast the Lost. He'll then move to discard after the Soul Ring comes back into play, ending his turn. Calvin's going to untap, draw, and then he's going to cast Teysa's best friend, Teysa Orzhov's Scion. He'll follow it up with an Arcane Signet, and then he'll move into the red zone again on Ajdin, attacking him with Gravecrawler, Doom Dissenter, and the Garrison Cat. Then on Calvin's end step, Max is going to cast Enlighten Tutor, searching his library for a copy of Smothering Type and putting it on top. But before the end step can pass, Calvin's going to sacrifice his Gravecrawler to the Altar of Dementia, targeting Max to mill him for 2 and triggering Teysa twice because of the other Teysa.
How many? 1? 2. 2. Oh, you got me. You got me good.
No.
I'm going then. I'm gonna wait.
Welcome
for
to
you
the channel, Max.
Give me a second. Yeah,
Give me
I
a
forgot
second.
about this Altar of Dementia.
Poopy dude.
Max will untap, draw, and then he's going to tick up the Jace Beleren, giving everyone another draw before casting a Brainstorm. After making his choices, he's then going to drop a Prismatic Vista, cracking it to find an island, and then he'll tap the Kwain for everyone to draw a card, which we'll all happily take. Max will then cast a Ghostly Prism before entering combat himself, attacking Calvin with the Xantcha Sleeper Agent, triggering the Shiny Impetus and giving Ajdin a treasure token. But before we can move the blocks, Calvin's going to use the Altar of Dementia and sacrifice the Doom Dissenter, getting a bunch of triggers, including 2 1/1 spirits and 2 2/2 zombies. And then one of the 2/2 zombies will block the Xantcha. It'll die, Calvin will gain some life because of the bigger Teysa, and then because it dies, he's going to get another 2 1/1 spirits. This will end Max's turn. Ajdin's going to untap, gain a life off the Inventor's Fair, and then draw. He'll then main phase to cast Terminate, targeting the Teysa Orzhov Scion, forcing Calvin's hand. Calvin will respond. He'll use the Teysa to sacrifice 3 white creatures to exile Yorion, which will resolve and Adrian will rezone it. Then he'll do it again, sacrificing another 3 white creatures and targeting the Xantcha this time. But before that resolves, Adrian will respond to it, paying Xantcha's activated ability so that Adrian can draw a card and that Max loses 2 life. Then, after the Xantcha is exiled, Calvin's going to sacrifice a zombie to the Altar of Dementia, targeting Max with a mill and making 2 spirit tokens, and then he'll sacrifice the Garrison Cat to the Dementia, targeting Max with the mill and making 2 soldiers. Now with his new abundance of white creatures, he'll sacrifice 3 of them to Teysa Orzhov Scion and exile. With all that out of the way and Ajdin happy he has his turn back, he's going to drop a Caverner's Souls, naming minion, and then he's going to cast Xantcha one more time, giving control to Adrian this time. This will resolve, Xantcha will enter play, and then Ajdin's going to cast a Parasitic Impetus, enchanting the Xantcha. But before Ajdin can pass the turn, Calvin's going to tap his last mana source and cast Swords to Plowshare, exiling the Xantcha. This will end Ajdin's turn. Round 6, Adrian's going to untap, draw, drop a Mistgate Pathway, and then cast his commander again, Yorion Sky Nomad. He'll enter play, flicker the Soul Ring, and then he'll move to discard, ending his turn. Calvin's going to untap, draw, drop a basic Plains.
I realize that this is like the first game Calvin hasn't had a Mox for a Mana Crypt to start that I've ever
That's because
watched.
there's a gun pointed at his cock underneath the table right now. It's in his hand. He's just not
You
playing.
drew 8? That's right, you put that back in there.
Calvin then is going to hardcast a Dread Return, targeting Teysa Orzhov Scion, but Max will respond by casting Swan Song, countering it and giving Calvin a 2/2 bird. Calvin will then move into combat, attacking Ajdin again for 3 total damage, this time 1 of it lifelink and 2 of it commander damage. Then Calvin's going to cast Bastion of Remembrance, but before it resolves, Adrian's going to cast Swords to Plowshares, targeting Teysa Karlov. Before it resolves, Calvin's going to sacrifice the Teysa to Altar of Dementia, targeting Max again, milling him too, and he'll put Teysa Karlov into his graveyard. After all effects resolve, Calvin's going to pass the turn. Max will then untap, draw, make everyone draw of Jace Beleren, then offer everyone a draw of Kwain, which, again, we all take, and then he's going to drop an Ancient Tomb before moving to discard, ending his turn. Ajdin's going to untap, gain a life off Inventor's Fair, draw, then he's going to cast Xantcha's Sleeper Agent, this time giving it to Max again. Then he'll cast Talisman of Indulgence, and before he moves to discard, Adrian's going to activate Xantcha, drawing a card and draining Max 2 life. This will end Ajdin's turn. Adrian's going to untap, draw, drop a Skycloud Expanse, and then he's going to cast Reality Acid, enchanting Calvin's Altar of Dementia. Then he'll cast Skyclave Apparition, exiling Calvin's Bastion of Remembrance. Then he'll enter combat, attacking Calvin with his Yorion and dealing 4 commander damage. After that, he's going to cast Ephemerate, exiling his Yorion and returning it to play. Ephemerate has Rebound, so it will go into exile, waiting to be cast next turn, and when the Yorion enters the battlefield, it's going to target the Reality Acid, Soul Ring, and Skyclave Apparition. This resolves, and the Reality Acid, Skyclave, and Soul Ring will leave play. When they do, Reality Acid will kill the Altar of Dementia, but Skyclave Apparition will give Calvin a 3/3 Spirit. Adrian will then move to his end step, they'll all re-enter play, and the Reality Acid will come down enchanting Max's Ancient Tomb, and the Skyclave Apparition is gonna exile Ajdin's Thran Dynamo. This will end Adrian's turn. Calvin's gonna untap, draw, drop a Caves of Koilos, and then he's gonna flashback Dread Return, sacrificing 3 tokens, targeting Teysa Karlov. This time, Adrian's gonna respond with Swan Song, giving Calvin a 2/2 bird. Then Calvin's going to cast Doomed Traveler, followed by a Diabolic Intent, sacrificing the Doomed Traveler, getting a spirit token, and he'll search his library for Living Death. Calvin will then cast Living Death, only for it to be countered by Fierce Guardianship from Max. Calvin will then enter combat, he'll hit Adrian for 2, and then he'll move to his end step, where Max is going to cast a Snapcaster Mage in order to flashback Brainstorm. This will end Calvin's turn. Max is going to untap, draw, drop an Aaron Mesa, crack it to find a Plains and shuffle his library, and then he's going to tick up his Jace, making everyone draw a card. and then he's going to tap his Kwain, offering everyone to draw a card, which we'll all take. Then he's going to cast Sphinx of the Second Sun, which will resolve, and Max will move through his combat phases, hitting Adrian with Xantcha, dealing 5 commander damage. But before he can move to his new untap phases, Adrian's going to try and single target Cyclonic Rift the Sphinx, which Max will counter with a Force of Will, exiling a Flusterstorm out of his hand. This resolves how Max wants, he will untap all his stuff, and then he'll tap Kwain again, giving everyone another draw. We'll all take it, but then Max is going to cast Windfall. In response, Adrian's going to cast Enlightened Tutor, which will resolve and Adrian will find a Kiora Best the Sea God, putting it on top of his library. However, and still in response to the Windfall, but after the Enlightened Tutor resolves, Ajdin's going to cast Chaos Warp, targeting Adrian's Yorion Sky Nomad. This will attempt to shuffle the Yorion into Adrian's library, though Adrian will rezone it into his command zone, but despite that, the shuffle still happens, so Adrian's going to lose his Kiora Best the Sea God. The Chaos Warp will resolve, Adrian will reveal an Idyllic Tutor, and then nothing else happens. Windfall will resolve, we'll all draw new hands, and then Max is going to cast a Thought Vessel so that he can keep his, ending his turn. Ajdin will untap, gain a life from the Inventor's Fair, draw, drop a Smoldering Marsh, and then he'll cast Aetherflux Reservoir, followed by a Bloodchief Ascension, gaining 2 life from the reservoir, followed by a Fire Covenant, which will gain him 3 life from the reservoir, but he'll pay 3 life in order to kill Skyclave Apparition and Snapcaster Mage. Ajdin gets a 4/4 token, and then he'll end the turn. Adrian's gonna untap, the Ephemerate's gonna fizzle, and then he'll draw. He'll then drop an Altar of the Brood, and then he'll drop Ancient Tomb, which will trigger the altar and mill everyone 1. He'll then evoke in Muldrifter, which will trigger itself and the altar trigger will resolve first, and then before the Muldrifter trigger resolves, he's going to cast Cloud Shift, flickering the Muldrifter. There are new Muldrifter triggers on the stack now, another Altar of the Brood trigger, which he'll let resolve, and then he'll move to his draw effects, but Max is going to respond to those by casting Hull Breacher.
Hold the fucking phone. All right, Max, make 4 treasures. I got 2 on treasures.
Adrian's next trick, he's going to try and cast Kiora Best the Sea God. But in response, Max is going to cast Venser, Shaper Savant. Adrian's been bested, and this will end his turn. Calvin's going to untap, draw, drop a basic swamp, and then he's going to cast Beseech the Queen, searching his library for Command the Dreadhorde and adding it to his hand. He'll then cast Command, and it's gonna resolve because everyone's already spent their counter magic. Thanks to the Windfall, Calvin's gonna get Dockside Extortionist, Peregrine Drake, Snapcaster Mage, Teysa Karlov, Teysa Orzhov Scion, Grim Haruspex, Gravecrawler, and Doom Dissenter, which is gonna deal Calvin 22 damage off the Command the Dreadhorde.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The Dockside Extortionist will enter the battlefield and give Calvin 12 treasures. And the Peregrine Drake will give Calvin 5 lands, a total of 17 mana, while the Snapcaster Mage is gonna give Rise of the Dark Realms flashback. Then Calvin's gonna cast Zulaport Cutthroat, going down to 15 mana, and then he's gonna cast Massacre Girl, going down to 10 mana.
Okay, yep, no responses.
Anybody got 1/1?
I have plenty.
It
It
only
hits his too.
It does hit
Yeah.
you?
It's everything but Master Girl.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Cool.
Cool.
Massacre Girl is gonna start to go off, killing 6 creatures immediately. 4 of them non-token creatures, 2 of them token creatures, all of them doubled by Teysa Karlov. This will add 12 Zulaport Cutthroat triggers to the stack, 8 Grim Haruspex triggers to the stack, and 12 Massacre Girl triggers to the stack, which 6 of which will resolve before anything else. Because of this, Massacre Girl effectively toxic deluges the board, minus herself.
I'm gonna cast Rise of the Dark Realm.
That sure resolves.
That's all creatures?
I have all creatures this time. I don't have to pick and choose.
Here you go.
Dockside will give him 12 treasures, Peregrine Drake will give him 5 lands, Snapcaster Mage will target something, but more importantly, Calvin's gonna get Zulaport Cutthroat, Haunted Witness, Garrison Cat, Doom Traveler, Teysa Karlov, Revelark, Skyclave Apparition, Teysa Orzhov Scion, and then anything else.
All right, so I want to make sure I do this correctly.
He doesn't, but that's why I'm here, so that future Calvin can tell you how this game cleanly resolves instead of the messy nonsense you see behind you. Look at all these white creatures again, and look at the two Teysas. Currently, Calvin can only sacrifice white creatures because his only sacrifice outlet is Teysa Orzhov Scion. But because of Teysa Karlov, any death triggers that happen, they're still doubled. So this will include the Hunted Witness, Garrison Cat, and Doomed Traveler token triggers. Calvin is going to sacrifice his Hunted Witness, Garrison Cat, and Doomed Traveler to Teysa Orzhov Scion in order to exile anything else. Because of Teysa Karlov, this is going to trigger Zulaport Cutthroat 6 times, and because of Teysa Karlov, each of these white creatures will trigger on its own death trigger twice. At the end of this is going to be a drain gain of 6 life, and Calvin's going to have 6 more white creatures. He'll then chew through those creatures doing the same thing, draining another 6 each time. And then, after the Hunted Witness, Garrison Cat, and Doom Traveler are all taken care of, Calvin's then going to sacrifice Teysa Karlov, Revelark, and Skyclave Apparition. Teysa Karlov still gets to see it and its friends die in this way, so Zulaport Cutthroat will trigger 6 times. But Revelark will also see Teysa Karlov when it dies in this way, since it leaves the battlefield by dying, so it will trigger twice. And by the time these triggers go on the stack, Teysa Karlov is now a legal target in the graveyard. So when Revelark goes to resolve, we're going to get back Teysa Karlov, Doomed Traveler, Garrison Cat, and Hunted Witness. Now we have the 3 original creatures back, which is going to get us another 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 damage, which altogether is 42 damage when all white creatures are said and done. Calvin wins the game.
So, let's talk about it. The first thing I just want to get out of my hair right now is that game you just saw was the first game I believe I really played on the channel with the updated Teysa list that we have. Teysa games have gone up since then because I have really fallen in love with this sort of style of deck. To the point that recent spoilers have sort of been ravaging and consuming my every waking moment. A certain dragon and all his ink was unleashed onto me. And I have never been so happy to be so sleep deprived before in my life. I'm having a blast, Tiffany. She's giving me a look because I'm 56 hours or something. But never mind about that. Never mind about like that beauty. Let's talk about this beauty. Let's talk about today's players, starting from the least impactful to the most impactful. I think if we're going to be honest, the least impactful player was the Xantcha deck, was Ajdin. I don't think Ajdin did anything technically wrong. The Fire Covenant line was a good line that he eventually set up. But all he really did was gave other people a attacker, and then gave other people cards. And that was on top of Kwain doing the Kwain thing. And I don't know if there's much more to say about the Xantcha deck than just, oh well. Xantcha is a curse style deck that we need to go back to the drawing board on, I believe. I don't know if it hit the channel since that recording day, because but she might ultimately be one of those commanders that's just better in the 99. I don't know. We've had Xantcha for a very long time, and I keep on getting disappointed with her. Comment down below if you think my feelings are fair. After that, if you ask me who was the second least impactful player, it was probably Adrian. You didn't hear it, but this is one of his first games where he actually played the Yorion deck after the live stream where he built it with y'all. And cast his commander a lot. I don't believe this particular game was a good showing of Yorion's potential. But there are other games on the channel, you know, where Yorion and Adrian does the thing, and honestly, like, sometimes you're just gonna have a game like that, man. And then to be fair, reality acid, like, Adrian was still pretty influential as far as like the tempo of the game was concerned. He was not the beatdown of that particular table, and he also wasn't the control player. He just happened to have more relevant cards than what the Xantcha player was pulling. It is what it is. After that is Kwain, and I don't know how I feel about Kwain yet. I kept on saying in the recording that, yeah, he's gonna tap and let everyone draw a card, and I'm just gonna take it. Yeah, I'm just gonna take it. Like, I don't know how you say no to, yeah, you have a free card. But eventually, I've played games against Kwain where you just get enough free cards, you suddenly lose, and you don't understand, but he's locked down the board, and you're very sad. In this particular game, the Kwain player just kept on pulling counter after counter after interaction. Max was the control player this time around, and Jiminy Cricket, I believe there was a turn where I tried to cast, or 2 turns back to back where I tried to cast multiple like reanimate effects, all to no avail. I really only just got lucky on that final turn. Though, to be fair, sometimes that's just all you need. Realistically, the Kwain deck, Max, I think he was the favorite to win that particular game. Maybe now, if we all like got together and rebuilt the same pod, like maybe it would be Adrian because he's more practiced with his particular Yorion deck, and we wouldn't actually put Xantcha back in the mix. But in that particular game, Max was the favorite. He just let a Command the Dreadhorde resolve. And that brings us to the Teysa deck. I've, again, fallen in love with Teysa. I have the deck on me now. And, like, these aristocrat strategies or these go wide strategies, they're just a lot of fun. It has caused a lot of brewing possibilities to open up in my brain and new ways to explore black-white that before I hadn't, because normally I'm just known as the tap-out control player. But with that said, there isn't really that many exciting things to say about the deck, besides that when the day I played it, I was a dummy, and today I'm a genius. You want to know how I'm different? Teysa Orzhov Scion is actually the best card ever. My next black-white deck won't be Teysa Orzhov Scion, but she's gonna be in the deck. And I think you should try her out. She does so much work. Also, there's some really fun tech I want to share in the future about Command the Dreadhorde, but I can't share that with you yet because it's not the future yet. And if I want to put these last 48 hours to good use, I gotta keep some secrets, man. With all that said, this is just a rare occurrence, me being back on the channel for a bit in this capacity. I am working to see how I can do this more regularly while still having my full-time job. Nonsense is afoot, though. We'll make it work. It can't work like this, but the way this went down is kind of more my fault than anything else, and me just getting used to the fact that I have new equipment and stuff. With all that said, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe. Wait, we already did all those call to action stuff. My wife's looking at me. I think that's it. I think that's all I got for you. Ciao.